Welcome to our new series about founders and entrepreneurs in Berlin. Hello everybody, we're happy to have Christian here, the founder of Webtrekk. And Christian, can you tell us something about yourself, how you started Webtrekk?
Sure, yeah. Hello everybody from my side as well. We started Webtrekk 12 years ago, 2004. Actually, I was a founder of another company called Kindercampus, where we wanted to show children the web. Back then it was a good time to start companies, but I found out I'm more the numbers guy, and yeah, that's why we started Webtrekk in 2004 together with Norman, our CTO today.
What is special about Webtrekk when you compare it to normal analytics, normal digital intelligence platforms?
In 2009, we started to track raw data, meaning we track really every single data set that we collect from customers. And that was back then already quite a new thing to the market, because most of the other players used to work with raw data, aggregated data, not with raw data like we did. And what it really helps us to do now is to personalize the web experience for users, because we have data for every single customer. And I think the combination of the raw data analytics and the ability to personalize and also feed third parties in real time with segmented customer data is very special, and I think we're the only marketing cloud based in Europe.
And now you compare with like big players like Google. Do you feel like big right now? Or
Well, I mean, I think we are quite big for an edtech startup in Berlin. But our competitors are definitely a lot bigger than we are, and that's definitely a challenge, and also something that we're looking into, which I think gives us the ability to show the market what we can do. You know, to fight Google and Adobe in a market like this is definitely nice, because we know it's a big market. A lot of other companies always say, well, we are market leader in, you know, like a tiny market. We have to compete against Google in a big market, and I mean, there are a lot of companies who do not want to give their data to Google, which is good for us.
Yeah, of course. And how did you find your core team? Imagine back then you started with Norman, and then you grew actually. And how did you find the people back then? Did you have a normal hiring process, or what was special about this?
Yeah, as a smaller company, you are attracting other kinds of people than as a bigger company, obviously. And back then we were looking for developers. We were looking for people who like to work in a smaller team. We had our offices with another agency. We shared it with our agency, Cobra Youth Communications, which still work in the same place today. And yeah, I mean, those people want to work for startups. You know, they know they have to work 24/7 to get something going, and I think we had quite a good team there, and we still have some of the early employees with us, so quite proud of that.
That's great. And I read on your website that you have several offices in different countries. How was this scaling process? I can imagine if you have a company that starts in a city and then you get international and other languages. How do you manage to have multiple offices? Imagine that the guy who's watching right now is making his own business right now, and he's thinking about scaling to another country or city. What's special about this?
I think there's two things, you know. I mean, you reach certain limits or certain sizes for a company, like, I don't know, 30 employees is such a size, and about 100 employees is such a size, where you always have to put in another level of seniority, and with international offices it's the same. You just, in the beginning, you might forget that there are a lot of people, I don't know, working in Amsterdam or in China or in Madrid for you, and if you see bigger companies that have communication challenges, even within the same office, or, you know, within two rooms next to each other. It's quite interesting to see how people forget about the Beijing office, for example, and the communication we need to do there. So the challenges here are quite big. We need to implement a proper communication for the whole company. And that's definitely something that we're still working on.
Do you believe that there's this kind of formula or pattern to build your business when you think of the last 15 years?
I don't think there's a single pattern, and I don't think there's a certain type of personality that you need to be. You know, I think you have to have a lot of passion. And I mean, I just wrote on Facebook a nice. I saw a nice picture, and it always said, like, you know, the F word, F, 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 and then yes, and then F, 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 yes. And that's the life of an entrepreneur, you know, because 70% of the messages you get are usually not so good, and then you go for the one that's been good. So although we are growing 30% every year, you know, you always have to look for the good stuff.
What are you most grateful for your business or in your life? If you reach that level and that kind of business growth, what is the thing you're most grateful for?
Well, I'm very grateful for that we are able to do this in general. You know, I don't know. I think you have to be lucky in the end, and you have to. I mean, we are lucky that we have such a nice surrounding here to be able to start a company. Imagine you grow up in other parts of the world where this is not possible, or where you have to bribe politicians to do the same thing. So first of all, I think we have to be grateful to be able to do this here, to have this freedom. And then I'm grateful for everybody that's, you know, joining the team and going for the same thing, you know, challenging Google, which is in the end, a lot of people believe it's not possible. So we still go for this and we're successful. And that's something that I'm grateful that we are able to do this.
You mentioned that in the company before you did more like, is it like a charity thing to teach children about digital literacy? And that is a sign that you have passion for digital things. Do you think the passion is more important than an analytical process of building things, or would you think that which of these is most important?
I think both are important. I mean, when I graduated from university, I knew from the beginning that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. Because I didn't want to work in a bigger company. I had some internships at bigger companies, and I realized that this is nothing for me, because you always had to follow orders, you know, you had a lot of limitations, and I always believed that, you know, I want to go my own way, and even if you're not successful, you have to be happy. I think that's the most important part. And my grandfather was an entrepreneur, and yeah, he said from the beginning that it's not easy, and there are a lot of good and bad news all the time. But you know, that's in my opinion, that's also something that, you know, makes your life livable. I mean, what do you live for? To just live a steady life somewhere in the world and be happy because you have a nice apartment or something? I don't know. I think, you know, we want to set ourselves goals and want to reach those goals. And I think with a company like we have now, we have a lot of opportunities to do so.
And what makes you happy right now? What is your next goal for your business or for yourself?
Well, our next goal is to, I mean, we just launched our new suite product. So in the beginning, we were just an analytics company. So we just had the ability to show the numbers of your website. And now we also real-time DMP, feeding data into third-party technology. And we also have marketing automation capabilities where we optimize your website and show you recommended products or personalized layers and content. And our goal at the moment is to really bring this suite to the market. And we're quite successful in the beginning. We already have something like 20 customer success stories where they really make more revenue with our solution. And that's something we're working on right now and are very happy to do so.
Imagine the people out there, they're building maybe not an analytic startup or something different. How did you catch on these big clients? You have like Zalando and Nike and Lacoste, and how did you get them? Did they come to you or did you acquire them?
That's just a lot of work. B2B business and sales is in general a lot of work, a long sales cycle. You have to be in the market, you have to be market leader. And I think especially in Germany it's difficult because if you go to a company, I don't know, let's say to some public government ministry or something, they will ask you, which other public government company or agency are you working for? And it's always difficult to start because they will always ask you, did you work for somebody else in our area? And I think that's something general in Germany, that people are afraid to give a contract or to a smaller company. And that's what we were struggling with a lot in the beginning, obviously, because analytics is something that's really important, and the numbers have to be there, and you're not allowed to do any mistakes. So you have to be very trustworthy. So I did a lot of sales in the beginning myself, and now we have a great sales team that bring in a lot of customers, and that's how we did it.
And how is your typical workday, if you think of Monday morning or something, or your week?
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a very usual workday. I come to the office, we have a Monday morning meeting in this room here where everybody's here, and we talk for, half an hour about, what's going on, what are we doing at the moment, and what are our challenges, and what are the opportunities. And then I work. I might travel 1 or 2 days a week, visit customers or leads, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. So you do a lot of your business still by yourself, and it's great.
I have a great management team. We just hired a new COO that took over the sales and marketing department. We have a great C-level team that helped me. So I'm trying to be more the evangelist in the future that goes to conferences and maybe acquires more leads than to do operational business. But obviously still I have to do some, unfortunately.
What kind of advice can you give to a small company with 5 persons sitting there to scale or to grow? If they have the thing that they have more customers that they can work on, how do they scale, or what is the best or most efficient way to scale?
Well, it depends on whether you need to scale because the market, pulls your product and says, I want more of your product. Well, then it's more a logistical issue. You just have to produce more product or be able to service the market. If you have to push it into the market, which is probably usually the case, because unfortunately the market doesn't know too much in the beginning, I think it really depends again on the product. Either you scale through PR and word of mouth, and going to conferences in B2B. That is definitely a good case. It's just very hard to focus on a single channel, because usually people they need to listen and hear more about you from a reference, from some newspaper, magazine, from your video, from wherever. It shouldn't be just a single channel. So I think the multi-channel approach is definitely very important to scale in terms of marketing. And and then you have to find the right people. I think that's the hardest part. The people that like to scale, that need to be flexible, because if you're 5 people, you don't have all the stuff that bigger companies have, and you might not have 3 people sitting on the phone answering your customers, so you might do it yourself, or you might not have the logistics to send out your products. You have to do it yourself. So you have to be very, very flexible in the beginning but that's also something nice, because there are no limits.
You're growing.
You're growing, but still, the road is bumpy usually if you're 5 people. You probably don't have enough money, you need to look for funding, you need to look to sell your product, so there's a lot of things going on in the beginning, and that's something that I'm very happy now that I can focus on 1 or 2 issues at the same time, and not on 20 at the same time anymore.
What were the biggest bumps in the company history that you say to yourself that these were hard times, but we came over them?
We were very lucky because we were growing 30% pretty much every year the last 12 years. So there weren't real bumps where we went down and everything was bad. Yeah, when we took in the money, it's already, that's something new for each company, because before we were bootstrapped, we didn't have any investors. So I think 2009 we took in the first investors, and to realize that they need reporting, that they need all the data, the information, they want to meet you every now and then. And then 2 years ago we took in even more money, 25 million. So these investors actually want even more reporting, obviously. And you had to get used to this, because when we started our first company in 2000, those were different times. I mean, we were valued 20 million for an idea, for a business plan. You don't find this anymore today. For a business plan, you get a valuation of, I don't know, a couple $100,000. But back then it was really easy to get the money. And right now, you just have to be aware that new shareholders obviously also need more information, and that you have to have an organization within your organization that takes care of that. And that's something, that we had to learn.
Mm. If someone would give you 500 million or 600 million right now, would you sell your company?
Well, 500 million is a lot of money. Well, I don't know. I think it always depends on the challenge. And I think the challenge for us here in Europe right now is to not lose out on the digital world. And that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help European companies to be ahead of the time in terms of digital economy and development. And at the moment we are losing. We are losing big time against the US and China. If you look at all the unicorns in the world, I think it's 161 at the time. 90% of them come from China and the US. So we are really behind, and I'm trying to do something about that. So if you give me the money to be able to do something about that, definitely, yeah.
So I have some personal question. What was the best book that you read in the last times or last years that you could recommend to the viewers?
Well, there are a lot of books which are interesting. I like From Good to Great, for example, Jim Collins. I think that's a very nice one, the hedgehog concept. Really appreciated that one, because I think you have to find out what you're passionate about and what you're good at. And that's, if you connect these, usually you're passionate about what you're good at anyhow. Yeah. But a lot of companies start, the area because they think that is like the place to be in, and that's where I can make a lot of money, but I don't care about the topic itself. And usually that doesn't work. You have to care about that topic. You have to find people which are interested in the topic and are passionate about a topic. And you cannot just start a company because you believe, that is an area where we're really successful. That works sometimes as well, but I think it's a lot better if you find something that you're also deeply emotional involved with.
Yeah. And what is the most important decision in your life?
The right wife, I think that's the most important decision, definitely. You can start a company pretty often if you like, but I think the family position has to be safe and sound, and I'm very happy that I have a very nice family and a nice wife, and that's more important than any other company.
Even my personal life I don't have a personal life right now. How did you manage this to build up your family and your company?
I think when I was 25, I don't know how old you are, but not that old in that range. Yeah, definitely. I wasn't thinking about a family. Now I'm a little older, and my kids are 5 and 6. So I think when I was 35, I stopped partying and thought of something more stable and something to build. And now I see the work we have to do every day when we're here in the office. And I really enjoy being at home. I bought a nice house, building in this house is something totally different than all this digital world I'm in right now. And I always imagine like all the servers were down for, I don't know, a certain time, then all your life, that everything you did would have been erased, because everything we do is digital. And that's why I think, stuff that you can touch is sometimes a nice alternative workout for you. And I really appreciate that.
Christian, thank you for the interview. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope the people out there also enjoyed it. If you have any questions, leave it below in the comments. And if you like this video, please leave a like and follow us.